Hey gang, this is Ryan from Old School Automotive, and I'd like to welcome you to a video series on a project that I lovingly refer to as the Civic Doodie. Why Civic Doodie? Well, it obviously started life as a late 80s Honda Civic Wagon. Why Doodie? Well, we've turned it from a regular pile of crap into a highly modified, very cool off-road pile of crap. We hope you enjoy the video series. Hey guys, it's Ryan from Old School Automotive, and today the project that we're working on, it's going to be more than just today, but the project that we're starting on today, this is going to hurt some feelings right here. Hang on to your butts, this is going to be cool. We got a 1989 Honda Civic Wagon. Obviously this thing has seen better days. It's kind of been a bit of a field bomber. From the look of it, it was either sideswiped or flipped onto its driver's side. And it's pretty rough, but thing starts, runs, drives, it's got a little stick shift. And what the customer wants to do with this is basically turn this from a beat up old car into a glorified side-by-side. So, and this is where we get into the hurt feelings thing, because I know that a lot of these early Civics have got a bit of a cult following, especially this one being a wagon. It's not exactly super common, but we are going to tear this thing up, and we are going to make it cool and off-road capable. And we're going to do kind of a Mad Max treatment on this thing. So if you're a Honda Civic purist, you might as well turn off your video right now, because we're just gonna absolutely violate this thing, and it's gonna be cool. So let's get into it and get started here. Okay guys, so first order of business, what we're looking to do here is take these original doors, and since this is gonna be an off-road buggy, I'm totally stealing this idea from somebody I saw on YouTube. We're going to do a half door on these, kind of like the Jeep half doors you've probably seen. The idea is I want to keep this factory mirror here, but we want to give the car a more open air feel, kind of like a Jeep or a side-by-side. So I'm going to basically cut the door at an angle down here and then level it off and bring it back across the line. And then same, we're going to continue the cut through this rear door, and then we're going to bring it up at an angle. And the reason why you have to bring it up at an angle in the rear is because the latching mechanism is actually kind of high up in the rear of the door. So if the door is going to remain functional, even though it is beat up. Okay, we've got our rough layout in place here with tape. So going from the edge of the mirror, we're going down at a 45-degree angle just because 45s are simple. We're going to go straight across 7 inches down from the top of the belt line, that whatever that trim piece was that we removed. And then here, it's just going to come straight across. We're going to go from the back edge of here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to move this forward just an inch or so that this comes right up to, I might slide this a little bit forward. But at any rate, 45 degrees back, coming across here, and then 45 degrees up to clear the latch mechanism with a little, we're going to have a little flat shelf in the back. right, we got the passenger side all taped off, ready to go. Hey, here's a cool technique for getting stuff done. It's a quick dissolve I saw. Let's see if I can make it work. Hey, would you look at that? It worked. Cool. Well, now we get the passenger side done. We just got to finish trimming up a little bit on the inside of the door shells here. And then we're going to get some steel and we're going to cut it and weld it in to make the top of our half doors here. Cool, let's get going on that. Okay, so now the question that some of you might be asking is, what are we going to do for door latches? And you can kind of see what the idea is here. If you're familiar with HRG Off-Road, they're kind of the Honda Civic 4x4 gurus. This isn't a 4x4, but anyway, HRG Off-Road took a Civic and they put half doors on it just like this, and they call it the War Wagon. And obviously we're taking some inspiration from that, kind of a lot actually. But anyway, how are we going to mount these door handles? We're taking the inside door handles and mounting them to the top. So instead of having an outside and an inside handle, we're just going to have one that is accessible from either the inside or the outside. Well, to mount them, what we're doing is I saved the inside of the door skins that we cut out. See, this would have been, you know, up there roughly where the door handle would have mounted to it. And I'm going to drop it basically inside the door and just tack weld it in place. And it'll give a nice solid mounting point for our door handle. But how do we figure out where to mount it and the depth and all that? So basically what I did is I took the original pull rod or push rod or whatever you want to call it. First I straightened it out, then I rebent it so it was in an orientation that works for us where I roughly want this handle. And you can, you know, you don't want the bend too severe, because if it's like a 90-degree bend, when you pull on the handle and it yanks this rod, that piece of metal will just bend a little bit. But having like up to a 45-degree like we got here to clear some of these obstacles, that should be fine for our purposes. So how do I figure out where to place this? Well, the forward, aft, and side to side is kind of, you know, up to you and how you cut out that metal. The depth is the hard part. And so what I'm doing, since I'm going to reuse this plastic cup that's in there, I'm just taking a piece of steel the same thickness as what we're going to cap the door with, two pieces of steel, and I'm putting one in the front and one in the back, and then I'm just going to push this down, and that's going to basically set this at the proper depth. And then I can kind of come in here with my MIG welder and just put a couple of tacks to hold, you know, this piece of sheet metal that it's bolted to. Once I've got it tacked into place, then I can remove the plastic bezel, I can remove the latch handle mechanism, and I can remove these two pieces of steel, and I can finish welding that little piece in the rest of the way. Then it's just a simple question of doing some measurements, you know, cutting a hole in the cap piece. You know, got to cut a rectangular hole for that door handle to come through. And once we've got that done, then we can lay the cap piece in place, weld it on the inside and the outside, and then just put the handle and the bezel in, and bam, that's it. We've got ourselves half doors. All right, here we have some finished product, or it's as finished as you can want it to be. In this case, it's functional. So we got the little plate welded inside the door. We mounted our latch to it. We figured out where the handle was going to be in relation to our top plate. We cut the hole out, gave us plenty of room for our little bezel trim piece that's going to go in there. And then we went and we go ahead and tack welded all the way along here. And as you can see, it's functional. It does open and shut the door, and having this plate on the top makes the doors are very kind of flimsy as is, but the top plate definitely strengthens up, adds some structure to the door. When you're doing the inside, I made sure to cut my plates, my filler plates, a little bit large, and then I made the outside contour exactly where I wanted it. So I got the outside lined up perfectly. Then when it came time to do the inside, I had quite a bit of overhang, but what I did, I just took my grinder and I just ground it until the contour exactly matched the door, and then I was able to tack weld it. And then here, actually, there was even a place where when I cut this angle, I actually went a little bit too steep with the grinder here, and I had a bit of a hole. So as I just put my tacks in from the top, when I got to the part where the metal started to come away from the plate, I just just tap the plate down and then kind of, would hold it with the tip of the hammer, just kind of like this, and then put a little tack in, and then just kind of rinse and repeat. A little tap, and then push, and then tack weld, and then move on down. And I was able to just kind of put a slight bend. You can't even hardly notice it in this plate, but that way it came down and met the sheet metal exactly. As for now, it's looking like it coming together pretty good. Now we got to do the other side door, rinse and repeat. For the rear door, because it goes down and across and then back up and then over, and the latch mechanism, the pull to open is right here. You have to pull this back or push this down, and you'd have to have like a series of bell cranks to make it work with a similar latch. So what I'm going to do, there's a natural pocket where there was a cutout right here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to weld a piece of metal onto this that sticks in here so you can push down on it, which will push down on this latch and allow the door to open. So I mean, it's a half door, you can just reach in easy enough, and it's going to save a lot of fabrication. All we're going to have to do is just do flat plate across the top, and then we don't have to worry about having that latch mechanism put in there and then cutting the hole for that. And you could probably do the same thing for here, but we wanted some coolness factor. You could obviously just have a little handle or something in here that you reach in and hit, but that's not nearly as cool as having that handle mounted in the top. That looks really awesome. It came out really good. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead, do a little bit more on that off camera, and then come back to you when I got some more done. Okay guys, here's another quick tip for when you're doing custom fabrication like this. Now obviously this is not a straight line. Now the easiest way, or what I would recommend on how to do this, is instead of wasting a whole bunch of time trying to get it cut perfect on the first try, just if you've got a sharp flat edge like this, go with this, and this will be where your measurements are based off of. You basically just will put this up against your flat edge or whatever, and then come around here, and say this was still a square piece or whatever, take a marker or a scribe or whatever, a pencil, and run it along the bottom edge of here and get you a line on the bottom of that, and then take it, put it in your bench vise, and use a zip disc and just cut it roughly. Don't get it exact, just get it rough. Okay, rough it in, take the major chunks out like this and like this and like this, and then once you've got the major chunks out and it's close, tack it in along the edge that's square that you're going to use as your reference, and then whatever overhangs, you just come back here with your flap wheel and you just contour it to fit exactly. And so you're just taking off a little minimum amount of material because you've already roughed it in with a zip disc, okay? But then just come back with your flap wheel or your grinding wheel or whatever, and then you get it where it's an exact fit, and then you can burn it in with a welder. So that's a quick way of getting these custom pieces done without having to fool around with too much with measuring. So after much cutting, grinding, fitting, welding, cleaning up, this is the finished product, our half doors. In the back, I opted to just simply, for the latching mechanism, I just went to the part of the latch that actually moves when you pull the lever, and I just welded this piece of square tubing on and capped the end off, so when you push it down, it flips the door open. So to get in and out of the back, you just reach in, push the little button with your thumb, and then the whole top panel was welded in place. Used the flap disc to clean up, give it a nice radius so it's not sharp any place. And same deal, welded it in here, welded it all up around the top, cleaned up everything. And we just left the door. The inside door is not going to have a door panel. It's just going to be naked. This thing is just, this is just a desert beater. It's going to be a, bombing around field bomber type deal. But now the one interior door latch does both the inside and the outside, because this way these steps are also quite strong. You can actually stand on these if you have like a roof rack and you need to access the roof. So these are strong enough to stand on. To give you an idea of how much time is involved, I would say budget at least a day per door. Make sure you have a full tank of gas on your welder and full spool of wire, because there's quite a bit of welding involved. By the time you get tacks laid in, I mean, you're going to have a full bead of weld all the way along here, all the way up here, down, around, across, and it's going to take at least an entire flap disc per door. So it takes longer than you expect to cut it out. I mean, you kind of think, oh, that's simple. I'm just going to, take my cutoff wheel and cut across here and then just lay a piece of sheet metal in and I'll be done. But the fact is that the way these doors are, there's a lot of like weird sheet metal curves inside, and just getting a flat cut across the top. I recommend cutting it where you want on the outside door skin and leaving the inside cut higher, and then using your piece of steel that you're going to lay in here as a guide, kind of lay that in there and bring it up against the inside sheet metal, and then just come along with a flap disc and smooth it down until it's the right level to get this thing, you know, level with the ground. That way we're keeping the factory mirrors, losing a whole bunch of weight, getting us some half doors, and it gives the car a real kind of open air feel when you're in there. So that's going to conclude our half door project on the Honda Civic here. As you can see, I'm already in the middle of a timing belt and water pump change on this, just doing some basic maintenance items, so this car is going to be good to go for when it's out bombing around in the desert. Last thing you want to be is 20 miles from nowhere and have your timing belt, you know, break and leave you stranded and have to walk. That could be potentially life-threatening. So even though this thing is ugly, we're going through and we're addressing all the standard maintenance items, so this is going to be nice and reliable for the next owner. Next video, make sure you tune in for the next video. The lift kit is arriving today, and the wheel spacers are arriving this week. So the next video that you get is going to be us doing the lift kit on this wagon and putting the big oversized off-road tires on here. You definitely don't want to miss that one. That's going to be really cool. It's not something you see every day, a lifted Honda Civic, and make sure you tune in for that. But until next time, guys, if you can, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, hit that little bell, ring the bell for notifications, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more like this, let me know. If you think this build sucks, tell me why. Tell me why I suck. Let me know. And anyway, we'll catch you next time on Old School Auto. Keep off-roading, keep fabricating, get out there and build something cool. Have a good one, guys. Come on!